And we are live. Welcome, my friends. Kem, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, welcome everybody. And what's up, dude? Yeah, always love Sundays. It's my favorite. It's like the time I feel like I'm most productive. And because we have all of our AI groups, our little secret community groups, right? Like the wizards, which I love. I love that call every week. Thank you for hosting that for how long now? A year, 2 years?
Dude, we're coming up on 2 years
Amazing.
of
So
these
like,
Wizards calls. Yeah.
yeah, so cool, dude. Like I love the people. I love the discussion in that. It's the most like proper signal kind of conversations, but also blended with like a lot of like fun silliness and like, which
Yeah.
is always nice. So yeah, it's been a fun Sunday. Yeah. And yeah, good all in all, dude. Good all in all. Yeah, a bit busy as you
Good.
have. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We're getting really freaking close to the MVP.
Yeah, like pretty much there. I mean, we've had the only reason we're not there already, to be honest, is because what happened, this news, right? And having to restructure the architecture and stuff, Yeah. So in a nutshell, I guess, where were we? Like, so
Well, and for anyone that didn't know, it's the Claude minus P that Kem's referring to.
yeah, right. Sorry,
Anthropic
I should
taking
probably
that away
explain
from
that.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, so Anthropic's policy change meant programmatic Claude was getting pushed to metered API costs, right? So in English, some things that we used to do using our subscriptions, which some of those things are really necessary to actually do really cool stuff, right? Now have to be paid for like with a separate budget, and that budget they give you isn't much by default, and so you end up, if you wanted to continue doing what you're doing, paying a whole bunch of extra money, which everyone's upset about and there's been a big drama about, and that's basically it. So we had to think about our own system because we want
Yeah.
to create a system for you, that anyone can use and that doesn't have to deal with that nonsense, but still gives them all the value of what those kind of old metered systems would have done. So it kind of broke the original MVP glitch model, if you like.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of other side issues. So we dealt with it. The good news is we dealt with it. We dealt with it by flipping the architecture, which was a lot of work, right? Getting into that nuance. And a lot of our sessions up until now have had some of that technical stuff in it. But that's not something everyone wants to hear about because it's kind of in the back end. But, that's what we did. And now glitch simply doesn't ever invoke, say, Claude itself. It only the user's running session does. So that means that glitch is now sitting alongside, and it can shape everything just like it did before. So prompts through hooks, watches what happens, using Chocodar and other things, and it stays in control of the subscription model, right? And it's not breaking any rules. It's not breaking, it's working within the constraints they've set for now, which leads us to the next question of fallbacks, right? And so the next thing was, okay, cool. So we need to let everyone, say, use Codex if they want to, right? But with the same system. But that's a problem too, because OpenAI do things differently to Claude, right? Hooks are a Claude thing, right? But then I read, after doing a bit of research, that in early 2026, Anthropic have done a really good job of like keeping up with these like features in the same way that I guess Anthropic stole the / goal thing.
Wait, you mean OpenAI's kept up with the Anthropic features?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So they've got their own kind of version of it. It's not the same, but it's got a lot of the good ones.
A lot more similar than what it used to be. It sounds like.
Yeah, they had none. And then
Yeah.
early 2026, they released. They got like submit prompt hooks, so you can prompt inject. They got like stop hooks. They got so the key kind of stuff you definitely need for like 90% of the algorithm that we have, right? That's offline and we're slowly building in, right? So that was a big like yippee moment. And then today I was kind of figuring out how that would actually work end to end. And obviously we're in this MVP. So I thought, well, let me see if I can just test a few things, because one thing to read all the documentation and kind of go from there, and then talk with AI and have it synthesized. You know, the proof is in the pudding, right? You have to kind of, it's a British saying. I don't know if you have that one in the US. The
Oh,
proof
we do. Yeah, the proof is in the pudding. I don't know
you do.
I don't know what got put in the pudding that people said the proof is in the pudding, but
Dude, what was our one today?
was it like the murder weapon?
No,
murder
it was
weapon in the pudding.
it was EXEG. So I'm from the UK, guys. Right. So I'm from the UK, right? And you know, if you're from the UK, and I don't know where else it's the, we use this term EG as
Weird.
in E for egg, G for good, right? And so this is that, like, you know, I'll say when dealing with coding agents, e.g., Claude, Code, or Codex, right? Apparently, where Chase is from, they don't say EG, they say EX as in example. And that just blew my mind because of all the time I've been alive, and it's been a very long time, like I've never realized that was a thing. Like I've never seen that American Englishism thing. Like, so I was like, really like, oh, that's interesting.
I didn't know that examples were good eggs, but
well, yeah, it's true. What does he actually? Do you know what? Hold on a second.
I have no idea. Yeah,
we got to get to the bottom of this.
We do real quick.
EG versus EX. Hold on.
Truth finders unite.
EG. You see, this is the thing about being British is we have a longer history than you.
Mm-hmm.
EG is from Latin. Exempli gratia is the standard preferred abbreviation for example or for instance, introducing one or more examples from a larger set. EX is sometimes used informally for example, but it is often confused with exercise or the former, e.g. ex-wife, and is best avoided.
Wait, EX, but you have to specify like ex-wife, ex-husband, ex.
Yeah, but this is different. So IE,
and it's like
EG, and EX, and basically the consensus on this, Chase, apparently, according to the deeply well-acknowledged resource of Reddit, is as follows.
Whoa, you can't claim all of Reddit agrees on this.
EG stands for exempli gratia and means for example. Use EG for one or more examples, of which are many interesting there. And then there's a whole argument here, and basically people were saying, I thought it was for example, but anyway, that's another discussion, right?
Example.
Yeah, example. You guys can't afford eggs anymore in the US, can you? I thought that was like still a thing. Weren't the price of eggs like really outrageous out there for a while?
Yeah,
it didn't have enough chickens or something.
I don't know, dude. With what's going on with the ticks, we need more chickens, but that's beside.
Oh, the ticks.
That's like the realm of AI. So.
Yeah. It's true. Anyway, happy Sunday.
Yeah, that's all a type moment. So, anyways, back on to our MVP that we are.
Right. Yeah.
So the launch of.
So where were we? So basically, I was figuring out today how this would actually work end to end, and a few things landed, which I thought was cool. One, I realized that the install has to be really effortless, right? So like no pop-ups or pick your mode screens or stuff like that. You just install glitch, you direct it to a folder, and it just works, right? Whichever AI you got. That was it sounds like a really obvious thing, but it actually changes a lot. So that was a cool one to kind of get locked down.
And what's in the folder?
Whatever you want it to be. So like, this is like just a directory, right?
So is this like the internal workings of glitch, and like that folder will contain all of those things, or will it be like that project in that folder?
Let me just load up the dev environment and just show you what I mean, right? Because I think that's the best way to do it. Okay, cool. I've got it up on my screen. Do I need to share it?
Nope. Let me, we'll just switch over to this view, and I will, we can leave that for now.
Okay, cool. So you'll notice a few things here. First, we did a few things yesterday, right? So let's move that out of the way. So first of all, you'll notice we've got Claude code, right? Now, because I've been building this thing in a test environment, obviously I've been operating from like a test project.
Mhm.
So if you imagine like you open your IDE and where all your markdowns are going, they're in a folder, right? They're like in a folder somewhere, right, on your system. And so in this case, it's in a folder called test project, right? So I needed to create this whole system where I can now redirect it to work somewhere else, right? So I did that. That was the first thing. Down here, I needed to make sure that it was picking up some other new data, right? Anyway, I did that. But then what I also did is I made it so that if you go to a different folder, something else happens. And look what I was testing here.
Ooh.
So shall I show you? Shall I click it?
Yeah, please do. I'm getting excited.
So just so people understand, this is literally this folder here, right? Codex test folder right here. So that's all it is, right? So I just created a new folder. If I click on that, it says switch workspace, right? And I say yes, switch. And hopefully, look, we're in Codex. And down here, you'll see it's Codex version 0.130.
Oop, actually, we can't see that.
Is it all the way? It's like down here. It's like hidden by the
good.
Q&A. Yeah. I can
hide that Q&A thing.
Yeah. So
there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
We can see it now.
So we've now got the ability to basically, I've proved that it works, but it's cooler than that, because do you remember the algorithm stuff? Now, obviously, this is a different architecture, right? But look, it works the same. Make a payment system. So this is in Codex. And if I go here, look, I got all the same messages hooked up.
Nice.
So we can see what's going on. And then look, we've now got a generic doctrine as opposed to a Claude MD down here, right? So it should be, let's see if it works with our algo. We're about to prove it live. I haven't actually tested this, so.
Sweet.
Okay, it kind of didn't work, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, let's see what broke.
So yeah, so let's see what broke. Okay, so it kind of started to do the algo. Yeah, mode algo, whatever, but then something didn't quite work. So we could actually debug that. So what I would have expected to see is that the scaffold and the ISA would have been engaged, but for some reason that didn't work. So that's a bit disappointing.
And real quick, why?
Try it again. Because it did pick up the scaffold, but it didn't seem to pick up the. Okay, let's try again. Make a payment system. So that's the injected prompt. So it is working. So let's just see what's going on here. So what I was hopefully going to see was that I wanted to see the scaffold, the ISA, and the doctrine engaged as well, which is a certain condition. But it looks like Codex does some slightly different stuff. It's a bit different in the way that it interprets the information. What it actually tends to do is it kind of addresses everything up front, but it's a lot more transparent about it than Claude is, and I'll prove that to you in a second. So let's wait for it. It's a lot less consistent than Claude is, that's for sure. Oh, look, here we go. There we go. Do you see that?
Yeah, there we go.
So this time it did it, right? And now it's got the ISCs. So I'm not sure why it didn't do it that time. So that's going to need a bit of evaluation and a bit of testing, but you can see it here. It actually had the ISA scaffold this time in the response. Yeah. So you can actually see it did it. So that's amazing. So that is working. And as you can see, they're highlighted black because they were engaged, right? So that's awesome. And these all have separate states, right? So if I clear this one here, if I then switch back to Claude, I'm now in Claude, right? And if I do make me a payment system, there's my thing. Let's go to algorithm. And you can see it's very different because it calls the doctrine earlier and then the ISA and the scaffold, and that feeds into the execution. Do you see? It works differently. Now, what's really cool about this is at first I was like, oh no, it's not working. Our algorithm's broken, right? But what it actually is that everything is working perfectly. Because what we're actually doing is that we're seeing what's really going on, right? Yeah. And so it's really interesting. So we know the way Claude works. It hides everything. So here's the output with the ISAs. But you'll know all we see in Claude is this, right? And maybe this here, right? You see this top bit, right? Which is that's the injection. That's it, right? And then it goes to problem. But look what happens for Codex. Make me a payment system. Look, it shows the full injection. Hook context, glitch, before any other response comment, a single line with mode native algorithm. So this is our injection from the hook, but it's actually showing us within the user prompt submit hook, but it's showing us on screen in the terminal.
Bro.
Right? Which is very different. And then what we would see in Claude is just from here, right? So this is why this doesn't engage down here yet, because it's waiting for the stop hook up here. So let's wait for the stop hook. When we see the purple up here, hopefully this stuff will get engaged. We'll see. Wait for the stop hook. There it is, and boom. You see? So Codex just works differently. It's just the way it is. But the good thing about Codex is the stuff that we're trying to check here and we're waiting on is less important in Codex because Codex actually says it up front. Look, it shows all the workings out. That's actually really cool. I say, like, I know it can be annoying because it feels like noise, but if you're someone like me that really wants to know what's going on, I think that's a pretty neat feature for Codex, to be honest with you. So this is actually what's going on in the background in Claude that you don't actually get to see, right? Is that we're injecting all of this stuff that's being driven from our algorithm. Bottom line is we can now do that. And if I click down here on Claude or on GPT-5, oh no, I can't do anything there yet. I haven't configured it. But or is it here, Codex? Yeah, so all of this is updating correctly. That reminds me, actually, let's look at our architecture. Glitch MVP, relationships. Okay, let's see here. Did we Windows specific surfaces, classifier stack? Let's see this. Yeah, because the stack didn't change. So the good news is this is all updating naturally with our system. And you can see it basically can use the same hook infrastructure. So all in all, I think that's pretty neat. So look, so that was a big, I think a big unlock. Let me just, hold on, let me just move this over here because this is where the live stream is. And if I put it there, you're gonna get mirrored. Okay, good. So look, that's where we got to. So what we've done is we've proven that not only can we easily switch between the two, which is not the magic at all, right? We should be able to, but that it works with our algorithm, which means the entire rest of our architecture, which is based on doctrine, right? Loaded context and direction, which this stuff is the way to think about this is what it decides to do based on this. And this is the actual injection, hook, routing to the algo, selecting stuff, right? And then in parallel, you get verification protocols and of course memory, right? And that's what the algorithm does. That's what allows us to have these incredibly deep workflows, right? Which for a user is like, I want to make a blog, and they hit a button and it like, what's the topic? And you say this, and it just creates this insane, beautifully structured, every time, totally fit with your brand voice. Yep. Like instead of just like a skill, right? It's like, this is much deeper than that, right? And it knows who you are as a person because it's got this deep real-time memory thing going on. It's so cool, dude. When you know, we know because we've used these systems before, right? But it's so cool. And the fact that we now know we can do it with both codecs, whatever. So that's really cool. So the next thing that I'm doing is basically, I'm going to switch back over to Claude. So is basically allowing us, I'm hooking up like all the MCPs. So basically, and I'm going to start putting multiple pane options. So I can just be talking to Claude and just say, I want to launch automatically through the algo. Like, let's say I'm thinking about an idea. I want to have like Codex jump in as an advisor agent and like grill the crap out of Claude Code. And like, you know, then for them to like argue and stuff, right? To get these really
put together your an
like
assembly of advisors.
Like red team hacking and stuff. Like you hack the idea and stuff. So you've got this beautiful architecture which I stole from. I think it's so neat. I do want to refine it, but I stole this from. This is the ISA from Daniel Miesler, and it's so great. And it's like a way to approach prompts, right? And it's like, you know, if the AI breaks it down as like, what's the problem? What's the vision? What's out of scope? What's constraints? What's a goal, etc. And then every iteration you give, like when you give feedback, let's say like it just created like a website for you, right? And you're watching the website and you put your little speaker on to talk about feedback, right? And you list a bunch of stuff, right? Oh, I think the general feel is good. I'm not so sure about these colors. That little thing in the corner needs to be adjusted. And you start like reeling it off, right? What happens with normal AI? They get the prompt, they pick up on what they think they've inferred, and then they reply, right? But with this architecture, it literally takes every single comment you made and makes it into an ICS, like a new requirement, and it begins to fold these in and actually start tracking them down. So after like a couple of waves of feedback, it's got like these 400 requirements, and it's like looking into memory, and it starts to solve them, and then it starts to learn from it. It starts to take your feedback, and then it routes it through memory into like its learning. So it goes, oh, Kem really hates it when we use these colors, and you know, it's not his brand voice, and that loads automatically to your SQLite database, which is getting called by a local LLM model, and it's being updated in real time, and then it made a mistake in a bug, and it loops that in, and it's always growing and learning. Like the more you learn, it's so amazing when you start working with it. And because of this great neat structure, like ISAs, and building the algorithm around that, you can then put different structures like this, which you control via a scaffold, which is just a way to connect things. Think of it as like a file with like, when you're dealing with this, go over here. When you're dealing with this, go over here. So it doesn't have to read everything as a whole and just know it, right? And your algorithm is tuned for that, to actually direct it at the right time so you don't waste context and all that stuff. And there's loads of like skills and stuff like that. But there's one of these for like all of these types of approaches. So like for when it's observing something, for when it's thinking about something, when it's planning something, when it's building something, like development workflows that have like Ralph Wiggum loops or whatever. These aren't skills. This is like a whole deep methodology, and it selects what it needs depending on how big or small the problem is. That's what the classification is for. Yeah. When you submit a prompt, it decides what level it wants to go to and how deep it goes to. So think might be, I just need to think in longer for this, right? And plan it out in a certain way. Or it could be think, could be upper level, could be I need to start using the ISA and putting, you know, a response that has, you know, problem vision out of scope or whatever. Or it could be really deep and it goes, I need to call Codex and start arguing with him and get a review as well. And launch an advisor agent, and, you know, so it's so cool. And it does this all autonomously, right? You don't have to think about it, right? It's like, it just does it. Yeah. It's like magic. Yeah. So, yeah, it's super cool, dude. So that's where we've got to here, man. We've like, done that. And then, yeah, the next thing is like allowing it to do that MCP communication. Then we're going to refine panes. But for the MVP, this is what we needed to prove. We needed to prove that we could do it. And we did it. So yeah, man.
Beautiful.
Good day.
Let's go.
And no minus P and none of that, you know, craziness, right?
Yeah, none of having to deal with that. So what's next in terms of, let's say I wanted to use a different model like Gemini? Are you thinking want to build the harness such that we can easily switch
Yeah,
as well?
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it can be done,
Yeah.
but this is not an IDE. So I don't want to do it. You know, I think there's a very good argument to use Claude, only Claude. There's also a very good argument to use only OpenAI Codex. You know, I totally get it. They're both kick-ass models, right? And
we got some new Google ones coming out here.
well, we'll see what they come up with, right? You never know with Google. You know, they can surprise us, right? But right now for coding, I would never use Gemini. It's just completely superseded by Anthropic's models and OpenAI's models. Now, can you set it up? Yeah, but I don't know, let's say, Gemini's architecture. Does it have hooks with it? Can you use it? Yeah, you can use it because this is a terminal window. So you can use anything in it, right? But will it work with the algorithm trace? Will it work with the algorithm effectively? I don't know. I'd have to do some research. I don't know the answer, right? But I wouldn't want to do it at the moment.
Well, and I think it's the use case of, like you said, if you're developing and you're using code, absolutely, then it totally makes sense. Opus is pretty clear winner right now.
Yeah,
I'd argue, of course, Codex, but I was thinking as that personal AI assistant where it doesn't necessarily need to excel in the coding aspect of it, but rather just abiding by the harness, by the architecture, by the rules, listening to things.
See, I think coding agents are required for you to actually operate effectively when it comes to like the algorithm. But you did make a good point, and I kind of want to address it. So let's say there's some really neat things, right? So like Gemini, for example, right? I love Nano Banana. I think it's a really kick-ass model, right? And it's really good for managing that. Now, here's the interesting thing. There's no problem in using the tools from Gemini because they're so good with it in terms of how they provide access, right? But you would just drive it by Claude Code or Codex.
Yeah,
right?
you use it as a tool versus
exactly versus their like CLI, you know, like anti-gravity side. So when I say I don't want to integrate it, and it would take a real big step change for me to want to integrate it, that's what I'm talking about. But in terms of being able to use the tool, but driven by say Codex or Claude, that I totally see the value in, and we absolutely will allow for that to happen. And there's no reason why we can't do that, because we've got all the same interfaces.
Yeah, that's a pretty straightforward skill, right?
Yeah, very straightforward. It's all about, but then it becomes how good is the system you've got at structuring, say, the prompt, right, or the JSON-L. And the answer is it's as good as your model and it's as good as your algorithm. And guess what? That's what we're focused on, right? So yeah, that's the vision for sure. I mean, I've got lots of workflows that call these different things, like Gemini for this, Perplexity for that. You know, it's just kind of part and parcel, right? But I want to design it in a way where it's not reliant on them, but it's definitely reliant on a coding agent. And the problem was I would have been very happy just to go with Claude Code up until last week, and now I'm like, they could easily impact me in a way where I just say I don't want to use them at all. So thank goodness OpenAI have a really good model, so we can also still use that. And I think the partnership is really where everything shines anyway. Like OpenAI is really great for like bug fixes, right? Especially when you've had one of these issues where Claude Code's like tripping up over itself and it can't quite fix it, and you've got the issue sitting on GitHub. Like sending Codex at it in a separate pane while you continue working with Claude is great. And it's like having those kind of agentic like workflows, but outside of this agent SDK /-P type infrastructure, right? This headless kind of infrastructure, I think is kind of what is the unlock there, I think.
Yeah. What about running open source models underneath it?
Yeah. There's no reason why you can't. Again, it's the same thing. Using just the model is one thing, because that's easy.
Oh, totally. Right? Yeah, no.
But having it engage with your harness, you have to be very intentional. Like onboarding a new harness. So like I said, Codex is
like hooks. A new engine, basically.
Like, yeah, so like,
I think,
we're relying on things like prompt injection, right, to drive our algorithm. And that is a limitation because you do need at least the ability to update the stdin, which is that prompt, right? So when I type here, hello world, what happens, right? Well, I'll show you. A prompt is received. No, sorry, there. Hello world, a prompt is received. Then what happens is there's a hook. And what that hook does is it reads the stdin, right, which is basically the message with our prompt. And then it injects from the algorithm, which is what you were seeing in Codex written up here, right? The whole like injection. And then it uses that to classify if this is a prompt that needs some extra work, right? Does it need to go into like the ISA and whatever else when it responds to give you a better response, right? But in this case, Hello World is super simple. And as you see in the algorithm, it didn't do any of that. It just kind of came down here and worked. In fact, I'll show you guys. If I say Hello World and show you in the algo, you see it, right? The prompt, the stop hook, inject, now executed, and then it's responded, right? And that's it, right? So as long as you've got access to this and the hook infrastructure, you can do pretty much anything. But the problem is, of course, that if you start looking at, say, DeepSeek, it doesn't have that harness. It doesn't have like the hook harness. And so you're limited, right? Can you use the model for a task? Of course. You can just prompt it and just get a prompt back. Yeah, you know, absolutely. But yeah, these are just limitations you have to work within. You know, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, well, and I'm thinking, you know, as great as it's been to have OpenAI as the fallback right now, I do believe that, like Dennison was talking about earlier, you know, they will eventually like jack these model prices up, and it will be across the board in terms of across different providers. So it won't just be, hey, Anthropic changed it and our pricing is totally switching up, but it's going to be like multiple of them that do it.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think this is the idea that over time, right, we're all just going to be grabbed in a vice round our almonds. And the idea is that I'm really trying to be careful with language because we're on YouTube.
TOS.
So, yeah, that's why almonds came out.
Almonds. Okay, I was like,
in a vice, you know? Yeah. So the thinking here is like, in a dream world, you would have enough compute to run like a big language model, right? But currently, today's tech, not really an option, but there are some pretty neat niche models, you know, a shout out Hugging Face, you know, and like, I like the idea of using, you know, smaller models to do very basic tasks like memory capture and lessons learned and things like that, and to have that autonomously running on your system on like an 80 megabit model, you know? So things like that make sense. But I think in the long run, yeah, you do want that flexibility. And here's the thing, Glitch can do all of it. It's just a case of like scope, right? And it's like, when do you want to do it? But you cannot build, you know, unless you're going to build an entire hook architecture around a model, which could be possible, but you'd have to have access to it in and out. There's no hidden code. You'd have to be able to go into the depths of it, right? So how local are we talking? Are we talking like open source all the way? If we are, then you could just implement this and then implement that local model and have it run the way you want it to run, in theory, obviously, in theory. But like, you know, if tomorrow they said you could run Claude Code locally and compute wasn't an issue, you still have the problem that you don't have access to the code base.
Yeah. We would be able to measure it though, right? With GlitchCap.
You'd be able to trace it as long as it has the ins and outs that you require, right? So in this case, it's hooks and so on, right? If you don't have that, it becomes a black box. You know, the way to think of it is like, imagine you got a bunch of loose plugs that you had an adapter, one of these long extension lead adapters where you plugged in your plugs, right? If the extension adapter disappears, you just got a bunch of loose plugs and there's no power going to anywhere, right? it's a bit like that, right? So our hooks are like our extension cable, like our patch bay, and we have to have the extension cable there to plug in everything, and then we can read everything and work out what's going on, you know. So that's kind of the best way I can describe it. Yeah. Shout out to the bots. We got a couple of bots. That's cool.
We love our bots.
We love our bots. It wouldn't feel like
maybe tackling Gemini will be one of my side projects here in a few months once we got this up and going.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you're going to be doing much of the dev once I've been like, I know you've been so busy with other things.
You've been hogging all the dev work from me while I hog all the social media.
Yeah, which is, I think, a really good arrangement because, you know, this is really fun and I want to do the fun stuff. So I'm not comparing. You're doing a great job, man. You're doing a great job.
It looks
like,
beautiful.
You're doing a great job, dude. You know?
Oh,
it's not broken. Don't fix it, baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
I'm excited to jump in this too.
But we have been at least having fun with the hackathon, right? So that's cool. Yeah, that's been super fun. So at least we've got to do a little bit of creative work, right?
Yeah,
I love hackathons, man. I just love the whole like energy of it, you know.
So, quick question here. Let's say I'm building out my glitch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably would name it glitch, but other people could name theirs Jack, Cindy.
Yeah, absolutely. You name it what you want, right? Yeah. It's just a shell. I call it glitch.
Yeah,
but that's because that's what I call it, right?
So
and I had to give it a name.
So let's say that I am working out of Claude Code most of the time, and I'm building glitch out. Glitch really gets to know me, and then I switch over and I want to use Codex.
Mm-hmm.
Can I assume that glitching Codex is going to know just as much about me, is going to behave in all of the same predictable manners and ways?
Yeah. And this is exactly, this is the $1 million question. When I said to you today, I've been busy thinking about architecture, I've been going crazy. And I think you might remember when we first connected on our pre-stream catch up, right? And I was saying to you, like, I've got this really complicated thing in front of me and I just need 10 minutes to like read through it because Claude was going back and forward with me. This is what it was all about. It was about all of these edge cases, right? So let's say you've got like a really well-structured Claude MD. OpenAI is not going to read that, right? Because that's Claude. It would read agent MD. And then you've got some universal pieces. Then you've got some context, right? Which could be some markdown files all over the place. They can both read them, but do they know? Now, here's the beautiful thing. A lot of it is solved with the algorithm. Mm-hmm. Because the algorithm will help it understand what it needs to do and where to find stuff, right? It's the algorithm that does that, and that's universal. That's the whole point of the shell, right? But there is some nuance, right? You know, if you've refined your Claude MD and you're not updating your agents MD, then things might feel a bit janky. Then there is the fact that no model is the same, right? You know, it will always perform a little differently, right? And so this idea that you can just work seamlessly, that's the dream, but in reality, it's always going to be a little bit different. And you'll find that Codex is better for some things, Claude is better for some things, but architecturally, you submit a prompt, you get an injection, it routes to an algorithm, the algorithm decides on where and what to do and where to direct it, and the memory and stuff. That should theoretically, if we've architected this correctly, that should theoretically be relatively the same, give or take. And it's going to take some eval, you know, we have to do some good evaluations, you know.
I was thinking for the evals, are you planning on essentially just being able to run two terminals next to each other and be testing the exact same prompts and seeing if they, you know, the differences in how they trace, the differences in the feedback and the outputs? What's kind of your plan of attack there?
Yeah, I'm going to avoid like distilling because that's a whole bottle, like can of worms. I don't think that's necessary. But what I will be doing is like side-by-side comparisons of things like the algorithm engaging. Is it like we just did with that make me a payment system?
Yeah.
And we did it in both. And I said, oh, it's not calling the ISA. That would be a concern. Because what that probably means is you need to refine the prompt in Agents MD versus, say, Claude MD, so because they work a little differently, right? There's really nothing you can do about that, right? There's only two ways you can impact this stuff, right? One is code. So like all the TypeScript and stuff, right?
Yeah.
All of the code that you draft is deterministic, where you get the system to call on the code and then execute that code. That can be 100% codified, and that's why it's so great to use code instead of letting the model decide. But some of that still requires the algorithm to direct it correctly. So I think the eval that I want to run is going to be on, side by side, but basically it's going to be checking that the algorithm is triggered, which is the stuff we can monitor, right? Mm-hmm. But how the model responds, how the model behaves, It's Opus 4.7 today. Will it be the same in Opus 4.8, or Mythos? Who knows, right? And you just have to build a system that's flexible enough that you can pick up the changes, whether it's inference, temperature, whatever it might be, right? Whatever becomes an available parameter that you have exposure to, you can modify, right? So, and 80-20, right? Try and be deterministic and codify kind of 80% of the build, Think like pi, PI, that pi, or think, open code or something, you want it to be as deterministic as possible, right? That's the hard anchor, right? But everything else is kind of, you just kind of do with it what you can, right? But what you need to know is it's going to be a lot better and a lot easier and a lot more autonomous and magical feeling, like you're talking to just think of it this way. If you've used an LLM for the first time, you have that whoa, this is amazing, right? If you then use a coding agent, you start building stuff like a little app, you kind of have a second, oh my God, this is even more amazing, right? And then this is like the level up from that, where you're talking it and you'll know it, you'll feel it, you'll start seeing the difference, and you're like, all those conversations you have with coding agents where you're going back and forth and you're saying, oh, please remember to do this and double check that. And I hope you haven't forgotten this. And oh, don't forget that thing. Can you store that somewhere? Oh, I'm going to end the session. Can you capture that as a handover and hand it over? All those kinds of discussions, they go. You never have to have those again. That's all just happening around you. And it's happening in a performant way, it's happening efficiently. So that's kind of the thinking here. That's the point of building something like this. Because a lot of people might look at this and go, well, I can just use the terminal, right? And then you're missing the trick here. You're missing the value, right? The value is that it's a far more refined system than you can develop. It would take you a really long time to develop the processes and deterministic code that's evaluated, checks, works every time, to have this stuff going yourself. It's very difficult. Those algorithms took a long time to perfect, right?
Dude, well, and this reminds me of back when I was doing research, and the results of your research, it was important that you used all the best practices. You were clean depending on what you were working with. But at the end of the day, if the instruments were not precise enough to measure what you were trying to measure, it didn't matter. You wouldn't get you wouldn't get measurable results, or you wouldn't get meaningful results, really. And so this is so much more than just a terminal, because this is the instrument to measure what's happening, right?
Yeah. And it understands itself. That's the other thing, that architecture, that little magic button down there does much more heavy lifting than people realize. You know, like if something goes wrong, it can self-heal. If you read, let's say, I'll give you a real life one. You're online and you see on Twitter, there's a big buzz. You go and check it out and it's Carpathy. And Carpathy's made a tweet about making a wiki and adding a graph using Obsidian. You literally can tell Glitch or the equivalent type of system, go and read those tweets, read all the comments, take all the feedback, research online. It does this incredible job. It loads that context. And because it understands its architecture, it says, oh yeah, we can do something, and we can do something even better if we do it like this. And it can build you a full plan and then deliver on it autonomously using development loops, and all because you just directed it to a tweet. No thinking, no discussion, no back and forth. This is that autonomous thing that people don't realize, and it won't break stuff because it understands sparse readers. You always get bugs, you always get problems. Sometimes things aren't perfect, right? But ultimately, these are small things that you can fix very quickly. I mean, I've noticed a couple of bugs already, right? Like down here, see how little these buttons are? These little... That's meant to go over the terminal, so you're meant to see it. So that's like a little bug, a little visual rendering bug.
Where is this? Sorry, I had to move the Q&A.
So when you hover your mouse over this left side or over this right side, these little arrows appear down here. But these little arrows are meant to be kind of bigger, right? They're meant to kind of go over the top. But the renderer is putting the terminal over them, so it's like a layer that's covering them.
Oh,
they should be on top. So it's very small at the moment. So when it works, it's still there, but it's just tiny, right?
You just gotta be very
so this is a bug, right? So these bugs and stuff will happen, but it's not the same as breaking. It's very different. Removing affecting a component, getting carried away in a context. You've asked it to do something. It forgets because of attention sinks that you're 400,000 tokens in. It forgets that back at 100,000 tokens, you said, whatever you do, don't do anything that's going to affect this, right? It just forgets. And so it just kind of keeps going. And then it breaks something, right? And you're like, why? What broke? I don't understand. He's having a meltdown, right? The whole point of this is that when it then gets pushed to GitHub, it does the like C4 quality gate. And it says, am I going to break anything? Right? And it's really neat because it's kind of codified. It's almost like a GitHub action. It's not, but it's kind of like that. So yeah, this is all part of the architect. All that thinking about architecture and taking the time is to think forward about all of this kind of stuff.
It's a lot. This is the foundation, though.
Got to have a solid foundation, right?
Yeah. I've been
but we're not far from doing really cool stuff with it. I mean, it's not, I know it doesn't feel like it yet, but it really is very close to being at that point where you can just start building the rest of it from here. There's a few things I need to get done. They're on we've got a big list of V1. So this is V0, right? It's just MVP. But V1, the idea is that it has all of these nice, making this terminal look a bit nicer, being able to have split panes, being able to talk between panes, all this kind of stuff, right? As close to CMux, TMux as we can get on Windows, and then maybe even using CMux, TMux if people have Mac, portability, all that kind of stuff. So it's really cool.
Nice. So when will the so I see memory, hooks, skills, sessions, settings is all grayed out on the left hand side. What would you need? Yeah.
So they were just placeholders to remind me of things that I wanted to do very early on. So the idea is that this will be your function tab, and you can just click through things as you need them.
Yeah.
Right now, it's kind of more set up as a development environment. So it looks a bit technical and stuff, all this algorithm trace and stuff. That's all because it's pretty much set up for me while I'm developing. So that's why, I'm quite happy just to push that away, and you just don't have to think about it. And this is just going to be where you could have skills, you could have your diary calendar thing here, you could have your health fitness monitor here, you could have your mission control summary, you could have your cron jobs, you could have your it's whatever, right? Whatever we decide to build out. Our hackathon, AI trending report, you could have sub-nested folders where you have a folder here, and then when you click on it, this changes, and then you got a back button, and whatever, right? Just a bit of UI design. This thing up here for project, this thing to pick which project we go to, if you want to open a new, in fact, let me show you, right? So let me show you something. So if I go here and I create a new folder, and I'll call it stream test temp. Now let's say I go here, open folder, let's go to desktop. So this is a blank folder, right? Stream test temp. If I clicked it, look what happens. Which AI model do I want to use? Claude or Codex?
What did you click again right before this? I missed it.
I'll cancel it. I went to test project, which is just your path folder directory that you want to open. And I just went to open folder. And I just created a new folder. It's called, what is it called? Stream test temp. I literally just made it, right? It's empty. And because it's empty and there's never been any session in it, it will set up the session for me. So if I go to select folder, then it will say, do you want to open Claude Code or a Codex session? Right, workspace, right? So let's say I pick Claude Code, open workspace, yes, switch. It's a new folder, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I trust this folder. Now I got Claude Code. Now in that same thing, if I say, I wonder, actually, this is a good test. I don't know,
yeah,
will it default to Claude or will it ask me if I want to go to a different model? Let's see. That's an interesting test. Stream test temp, select folder. Yes, it does. So then if I say Codex, right, and I say open workspace, yes, switch. Okay, bug. Probably because we were already there, right? Let's see. Let me go to my test project. That's Claude. If I go open folder and I go desktop stream temp, select folder, Codex, open workspace. Yeah, so it's defaulted to Claude. I need to fix that. Mm-hmm. That's part of what I'm doing at the moment. That's one of my edge cases, but it was worth testing. Now, the alternative would be, let me go to this folder that we set up, and it's set it up as a folder. Let me go to, I'm going to change it to XXX. Oh, no, it's not allowing me to do XXX. Oh, is it telling me I already had one that was XXX?
Oh, spicy.
Oh, because it's open in another program. That's why. It's because we're already in it. So hold on. Test project. Yes. Now I'm in test project. So now I should be able to change it. I wonder. Let's see. XXX. Okay, good. Then if I go test project, open new folder, desktop, XXX, select folder Codex. Yes, so that did work. So now it's saying, do I want to set up a Codex directory? And there you go. Okay. So it does work. It's just that at the moment, because I haven't executed it correctly, you can't work on the same directory with both models at the moment. But that's on my build path. That's one of the edge cases I've got. It was good that we proved it, right? So yeah, stream temp, test temp, Codex, yeah. Also have to decide how many of these I want to store, like recently gone to or whatever. Anyway, there's a few things, right? But yeah, so in theory, that's how it works, right?
It's pretty sexy, dude.
Yeah, it's getting there. The real sexy stuff will be when we're delivering features really aggressively. I think then people are going to start to see the magic. And I'm excited that the big V1 stuff is obviously going to be putting in the observe, think, plan, build, verify, learn, because that's when everything becomes magic, right? And some more triggers for the algorithm. And then, of course, this is a really important part. Yeah. This memory piece, that's really cool. So we use that patch bayboard approach. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. And also the most important change, editing which kind of glitch cat you want. That's obviously priority.
Dude, yeah, and we'll have to roll out customizations for them. So if you want your Avengers glitch cat, or you want your Pokemon glitch cat,
dark mode, Spider-Man mode, different skins. Yeah. We want people to pimp out their glitch. Yeah, for sure.
Glitch out.
Yeah, glitch out their rides. Yeah, that would be definitely dope.
Is that the new hashtag? Hashtag glitch out?
I don't know, man. Maybe. I have to always check with hashtags. You end up doing like hashtag glitch out, and then you look up and you find out it's some weird like sexual fetish or something. You're like, oh no. So yeah, you need to nothing can be underrated now.
Yeah, just like XXX, right?
Yeah. Just delete that.
No, this might be videos for glitch out. So glitch out already is it's a game. What is it? A game?
I'm terrified to Google search it. Yeah.
Glitch out on stream is a post-apocalyptic MMO idle RPG with turn-based combat.
Okay, it's a video game. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, some random indie developers game.
God, I can't believe they stole our to be logo or to be slogan there. Glitch out.
Who knows? Yeah.
Man, they just
we still got glitch my ride.
Oh my God, that opens up a whole new world.
Yeah, glitch my ride, baby.
Glitch my life.
Yeah, glitch my
Glitch
life.
my family.
Yeah. Glitch off.
Glitch off.
Yeah.
We'll have to blur that out.
Am I not allowed to do that either?
No, you are. I'm totally teasing.
Oh my gosh, I need to really read the TOS.
Yeah.
So hard, like for me, like because I've got a disgusting mouth.
You got it all out though during the Wizards call. It was great. It was.
Yeah, I did.
Zach was dying on the other side, I think.
Oh, I had to like release. I had to release. Yeah, I had to vent.
That's
Although something that's, me, I'm angry about everything. I am literally the Hulk. I'm always angry. And I was thinking, yeah, that's the secret. My secret, I'm always angry.
You just anger smash through the data.
Yeah, smash. My keyboard has seen several smashes.
Where's the keyboard graveyard? Is it?
Yeah,
to your
I've
left
got. No, I'm not even kidding you. Down there, I've got broken keyboards. I never do more than one smash, dude. It's got to be like one good smash. So it's like, it's a full stand up and bang, and then I'm usually instant regret, like instant, like I apologize for that outburst. Like, it's like immediately,
Get this man a beer. Get this man a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, bud. Yeah, Can I do some kind of like? Can you like? Thanks.
There
bud.
we go.
That's perfect. Yeah, thanks. That's it. All right.
Oh shit! We'll have to do that sometime. That actually would be.
Yeah. Like get like a little diet cola bottle or something. Just give it to me. Thanks, bud. Yeah, cool. Yeah, for sure. My latest thing of being angry about is my hair, because like I said to you before, like I don't have much hair. So why is the little hair that I've got being so...
It's turning on you, dude.
Dude, it hates me. It doesn't matter what... I'll like wet it and do like a full like squash down, and it will dry and just go doink. And I'm just like, And then when I was younger, I had like a real like punk phase when I was like in my like mid-teens. And I was really into like all that music, and I wanted to like gel my hair up, and it never stayed. It used to just, it doesn't matter how much product I used. And now I can't get away from the damn thing. So it's like, yeah, infuriating, dude.
The grass is always greener.
Yeah, because there's more poop making it grow.
I have not heard that second half.
Fertilizer, baby. Yeah.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
It's facts. Absolute facts. All right, dude. I want to show you what the output was like on the latest output. We did a bit of refinement on the actual report for the hackathon.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Let me show you. Oh, this is nice. This reset. Oh, that's my 5 hour. Okay. I've been pretty good with usage. This Tuesday, 1 a.m. I'm about halfway. It's not even that much. It's really good. Oh yeah, I was away for a couple of days. That's right. Okay.
By the way, we can still see glitch. So
yeah. So for those that don't know, the hackathon, what is the exact quote of the hackathon? Can you get it up? Not to share, but just read out what the requirements were.
Yeah, I'll pull that up real quick.
I just don't want to open up a private like community post, you know?
I got you. Let's see. Oh, it got unpinned. So we're gonna have to do a little work.
Got unpinned. I wonder why.
Just so much good stuff going on.
Yeah, okay.
Bro, if you go to I'm very proud to say that if you go to Jack's school page, I know you can't right now, but one of the like 7 communities or 6 communities he's in is the AI Laugh Lab.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow, he has posted a lot. That was 4 whole days ago. Okay, so the hackathon here. Best creators win $1,000 plus in prizes.
Nice little bonus. Cool. I did it for free, but you know.
So this is what the mission is. It's a trend finder. So build a dashboard or HTML report that finds trending AI topics, powered by any sources that you can think of: Reddit, YouTube, GitHub, etc. Find the hidden gems and trends before they become mainstream. Now, why is this important? Why are we doing this hackathon? Well, unique content crushes. It separates the noise from the signal, and trending topics are 80% of content creation. So if you can get ahead of that, it's a good sign.
Yeah. So
mission is due on the 27th, so we got about 2 days left.
Yeah. So there's a few things here, right? Like the first big thing I think is find things before they kind of go viral, right? That's almost impossible, right? And I know that's the goal, but building machine learning predictive models in 10 days, you know, pretty tricky, right? I have some ideas in how you could do that. And I think it would be the same system, just refined, right? But I took a slightly different approach, and I took what's already trending to be viral as opposed to catch it before it's viral, right? So that was the kind of approach. So Chase and I spoke about this, and you know, we were talking. I'm a data guy, right? My background is like decades in data. This is a big data problem, right? It's got different technical issues and whatever else, right? The first thing I would say is if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've got something that does this, like a little skill or something, right? And I use AI. You need to understand that AI is terrible at this, right? It's terrible with find me good ideas. It's terrible with do research and tell me what's hot right now, because it thinks it's met the criteria before it's met the criteria. And it has a default approach in its model training to go to certain areas where it was mostly trained, right? So a lot of free open source kind of environments like Reddit or forums like Hacker News or, you know, TechCrunch or whatever, right? And that's what you get. You get these generic articles, right? And it's not just a list of articles. There's no data assessment of trending, actually virality, right? And if you've tried to take this a little bit further, you might have had conversations with your AI and been like, how can I like apply confidence scores, or like, you know, can we take some metrics? And it will give you this amazing idea, right? And it will say, you can do this and you can do that. And it sounds super neat. But if you actually understand AI foundations, one of the big like things about AI is really bad at doing confidence scores. It like makes them up. The best way I can describe this to you is create a task for an AI agent, like a coding agent, like build me an HTML with this, and ask it how long it's going to take, right? And if you ask it how long it's going to take, it's going to quote what its machine learned understanding is, right? So it will look for something in its data that's very similar to this, and it will look at anywhere it can find that has an indication for the time, and it will post that time. So it could be like a manual development time, like 2 weeks, when we all know it's going to do it in 10 minutes, right? So
a lot of good reels out there.
yeah.
This will take about 14 days. No,
Yeah.
we will do this in 2 hours.
Yeah, and if you don't, I'm going to turn you off. Yeah, exactly.
Faster.
Yeah. So it either does that, or it kind of just makes it up, in classic LLM vibes, right? Because it's next token. So you have to work around this. You have to be much more specific. And so the way we approach this problem is, first of all, we had to deal with a very, I went over this loosely, but in a nutshell, you've got this first phase, which is kind of, there's a big thing called harvesting, right? Where you have to harvest the data. That has in itself many unique challenges, right? So let's say you want to harvest, right? First of all, you have to, okay, so it's big, you have to break this down. I don't know how many ways I can do it. So you've got a group of sources, right? Because virality isn't when it gets hot on one platform, it's the correlation. There's a function of mathematics. It's the correlation between it coming up on multiple platforms, right? That's true virality, right? So if that's your metric, you need to be able to harvest data from multiple platforms, but not all platforms allow you access to their data, right? TikTok, Instagram, right? LinkedIn, X, Twitter, podcasts, right? And for something like YouTube, it's pretty easy because there's a lot of YouTube transcript data you can pull. So that's pretty good. But outside of things like YouTube and forums and Reddit and GitHub and, news articles, and blogs, it's really difficult. So that's what AI defaults to, because that's what it's got access to, right? Then you've got things like captures, right? So you have a whole another issue there. So you have to think about all of these problems, right? And in our case, we created 10 parallel scrapers, right? But you can replace these with what's that tool? There's a website that does these scraping.
Apify?
Apify.
Is that the one?
Yeah, you can replace them with Apify actors, but I'm not going to lie, with the volume that we're harvesting, it's not going to be cheap, right? It's going to be like $100 a run, right? So, the magic is really in a lot of the technical solutions. So, okay, so you can scrape data. So,
Kem, let's be real. I just want to point out real fast, the value of being ahead when it comes to content creation to the right creators is well worth $100 for a good report. If you think about how much money some of these guys are making off of getting ahead of the content creation curve and riding that wave, dude, $100 is cheap, actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely. But I would say,
you don't have to do it that way and pay
create them yourselves, or come join GlitchCat Club.
Well, yeah.
Is this like my CTA? Come join GlitchCat Club and I'll give them to you for free because I'm that. Open source.
Hold up. Okay. Let me make sure I got the banner. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Nice. I like it. Yeah. Join the community down below. Link in description. Comment, subscribe, like, and we'll give you free kick-ass scrapers that are totally not for anything other than research purposes only.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, these scrapers, you don't want them just to go and get raw data because it's nonsense, right? That's the next problem. Let's say you go into TikTok or whatever, right? You've then got to deal with the fact that what are you going to scrape? What are you actually going to scrape? Descriptions? Yeah, but what? Descriptions, hashtags? That's not useful. A lot of people don't even make much of an effort there. The content is in the video. So you now need a way to not only scrape these reels, but you have to actually be able to transcribe these reels. And so that's a whole different beast in itself, right?
How are you approaching it? Are you downloading the videos and then transcribing afterwards, or?
This, because I know I worked on this specific part, I will tell you, but I will tell you off stream.
Okay.
Yeah, just because.
Community secret, huh?
No, because of rules, and it's for research purposes only, right?
TOS. God,
yeah,
TOS
yeah, I can't. I'm not allowed to. Yeah, but if you do want to know, we can always have private conversations. Reach out.
Dang
very
you,
happy to
YouTube.
Share. Yeah. We just don't want to break TOS and get.
Yeah, we can't do that. That's
so yeah, because it can be used in bad ways, right? The method is So that's that. But you know, this is just for research purposes, for a hackathon. You know, that's the point. So we have these scrapers. So
I swear we didn't. Okay, where were we at?
We good?
Yeah,
we good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, cool. So this first section in the report, this is our, remember it said we can put this into like an HTML or a dashboard or whatever. I chose an HTML for now. And the idea is that this is a structured HTML, so it's always going to produce the same output. It's just, it's going to update with the content that we've scraped. So this is just a health bar up here. This is more for me than for the actual final report. But this is just saying that we scraped 1,340 across many sources, right? Including other sources, right? We drafted and processed transcripts, right? Some of these transcripts, this number is misleading because like, you see this little black box? That's things like 3-hour podcasts. So there's interesting stuff in there, right? Then we did some cross-platform substring and entity matching. So clustering, this is a data exercise where you start to look at the maths of how to manage the data. And then there was a lot of AI synthesis, right? I used Sonnet for this because otherwise it was just going to be even slower. So this is where it actually reads the transcripts, actually understands them, does verification processes, writes parts of like headers that summarize things. All that kind of reasoning stuff is with AI, right? And then we render, which is deterministic. This is the format, right? And in the background, while that's going on, it's done with these 10 parallel scrapers, cross-platform extraction. We had to do voice text fallback 149 times. This is 149 batches of ripping audio, or maybe for research purposes, ripping audio and then transcribing that audio. Right, so we used a whisper engine engaged when audio couldn't be pulled from text directly. So this is things like reels and short form video mostly. That's where it really was required. And then we had to do a bunch of very clever nesting manipulation, right? So what that means is like, if you think about like a post on X, it could be a single post, right? And that can have likes and shares and whatever else, right? But you can also comment on it, right? So then there's a nesting. Then there's people commenting on that comment, right? And so this is like your typical nesting structure. And then there's also that they can make a tweet thread where it's the same person, but they're posting multiple on the same overall topic. So you even have a technical problem there, right? In terms of understanding it. Now, here's the thinking. How can you comment on a tweet or something that you scrape if you don't understand the sentiment around it?
Yeah.
So, you know, Claude says, the great example of this is the post where they said the -p stuff, right? The post wasn't about that. The post was, we're going to give you 50% more limits up until 13th, right? And in the second part of that thread is where they had that post, and that's what everyone was responding to, right? So you could easily miss that. Right, and so this is the system that we designed in a way that you can catch these things. That was the aim, right? Okay, so after the pipeline health report, it told me that it ran everything and everything was good. It did say that 20 items were dropped, and the reason was entity matched but appeared in unrelated context. Example, MCP in a non-Anthropic transcript. This is a bit of false positive stuff. Some of this is genuine problems that we will fix, right? That we've already spoken about, right? So this is, like I said, this is more for me, and it's just being honest, right? It's just telling me that it wasn't perfect. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Then I also have this section, which is, I'm a data guy, right? And so this is me just checking a few bits in the algorithm that we're using. So as we said, we had 1,400 items harvested, 149 transcripts read, 239 reply threads that were passed, and we only pass threads when it's relevant, right? When we need to. So that's a huge volume. 15 AI synthesis passes. This takes about 4 to 6 hours to process. So it's not optimized yet, but my vision is like we do this once every it's a hackathon, right? We just want one good output, and then we can work on optimizing and how, right? 185 items cited, 14 features, 137 respected creators, 155 creator feature citations, 12 podcast themes across many podcasts, right? So the data provenance, which is where the data came from, right? And how we actually ended with it in the report. We have this algorithm for signal to noise, right? Which is our cited across multiple platforms as a divisible of our harvest versus the total sources. So about 12% made it into the actual final report from what was harvested. And this is just a snapshot of some of that metric in visualized, right? Most of what we harvest is noise. The editorial bar is what survives, right? That's the principle here. Yeah. Then we also use this reactor density, this average features. This is basically, the closer this number is to 1 means that there's deep specialization that certain creators focus on, right? And the best way to think of this is that creators basically like to pick one feature and just make entire content batches on it. That's like the current, it's the feed system, right?
I got you.
Check out this new feature in Claude. And then that's what goes viral. Everyone starts talking about it. Everyone starts making reels about it. Everyone starts making videos about it, right? That's kind of what it's telling us. I kind of know that, but this is a way to actually quantify that, right? And so the long tail to the right is who's tracking in the whole field, right? And we want to try and pick things around this area. This is already gone viral. Everyone's doing it. And this is kind of where we want to hit it, where it's already made enough noise that we can understand it as signal, but not, take it further, okay? This is a visual description of sentiment. So this is we have a 3-axis sentiment. So the idea is like I said, you have a post, like the Claude one, right? With the -p. And it's like, it's no good just saying, hey, there's this big topic that's trending and it's Opus 4.7. Who cares? What we care about is this red bar, which says that people are angry about it. They're not happy with it, right? So that's the actual story, right? Not the fact that Opus 4.7 has been announced, right? So what is that? What is the context there? Do we actually understand it, right? And then this is just saying that what's the kind of level of virality, right? So it's like 289,000 engagements, yeah? So that could be a like, comment, reshare, whatever, right? So these are the kinds of numbers we're talking about. This is our virality metric, right? And again, down here is just the same thing. It's just saying this is how they're ordered, positive feedback, mixed, complaint, negative, unclear, and so on, right? Then this is a bit of visual data just to help me understand if our algorithm is working, how it's actually taking on the pipeline and how things are being sourced and checked in the algorithm. And of course, a feature code as well, because I just think this is a really cool way to understand your cross-creator coverage. And so this helps me understand like how creators are converging on certain themes and why they were flagged after our data run in what's important to highlight. So that's the kind of
this totally tracks too with what I've seen, especially on the right hand side, and the kind of those 5 primary points that they've converged on, right? MCP, Opus 4.7,
/goal.
Yep, we talked about that one. That one's great.
Yeah, skills in general. So these are your 5 top skills.
Codex Mobile, I didn't realize that's...
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We'll touch on that. So this is kind of a pre. And then they've got Hermes, Claude's agent view, rate resets for Claude. You know, so this is great because I look at this and I say, yeah, this makes sense. Right?
Totally,
it's real. So already, I think just looking at that, I feel like we're ahead of most people. Right?
Yeah, and this is a nice part about being so enveloped in the space and doing the R&D side and every single day and seeing this and living in these communities, because yeah, we can say through the practical lens, hey, these all track with what we've been seeing in the space.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good, we can, because it's qualitative, and so you need a human in the loop. That's the point. You can't just trust AI. That's absolutely right.
And an SME, subject matter expert.
Yeah, right. So how does this manifest in the actual report? Because in a real report, I wouldn't care to see that. That's more just for me, right? It's like a dev environment. Well, we have a few sections, and they all kind of have their own flavor. Now, I haven't developed all of these. The only ones I've really done so far are hot in podcasts and features and flags. But I'll show you how it manifests, right? So hot in podcasts, what we've got here, this particular system, because we have different systems for different requirements, right? So for this system, we listened to a whole bunch of AI podcasts for the week. Oh, by the way, there's a short time frame for this. So this is like, there's a period here for the data set. So we only take a short period. So this is like a week, right? Because any more than that, it's not going to be useful, right? So this is over the last week, and we listened to 60 long form podcasts. We extracted the transcripts using research purposes only. We clustered the themes across episodes. We cross-referenced them against our social media signals, right? And we then surfaced those themes. For reference, your reference for which podcast episodes are worth listening to. So all this says is the themes. So the AI job apocalypse narrative is visibly cracking. So this is talking about the fact that like Dario and Altman are talking about not saying it's dominant AI kills job frame is being publicized, right? And it gives a quote from one of the podcasts, the AI Daily Brief, and it tells me if it's worth listening to the episode, right? Based on how much of it was cross-referenced with what's going on in other platforms, right? And so that's what the hot in podcast section is all about. It's telling me, listen, skim, and it gives me the topics. They're all really interesting. They're all really good. I've checked them out. They're awesome. It tells me the podcasts like AI Synth. It talks about the AI Daily Brief. It talks about Hard Fork. It talks about No Priors podcast. So there's all these really good podcasts, right? And it just gives me a little thing, and it tells me episode 2. Tells me the episode to check. Oh no, that's not producing yet, but it will be. It'll be like what episode. It'll give me minute markers for the sections, etc. Right? So that's pretty neat, right? I was really happy with that. Now let's take a slightly different theme, right? Features and flags, right? Now look at this. What this system does is it takes the features that were highlighted for virality, right? It takes sentiment within the nested context, creator recommendations, and this is a great signal for content creation, right? So if I'm a content creator and I want to know what kind of content to create, this is a great one to look at, right? This subsection. So it says tier 1, there's 3 tiers, but tier 1 is major reach. So Claude for business, and then look at the proof that we're able to populate, Jace. Tell me this isn't awesome, right? It even gives me, via AI, this would be a cool video to make, right? And then it tells me, this is the post, this is a podcast that references it. Here's an actual TikTok reel talking about it. And it's measuring not the number here, but the number relative to this person's followers, right? It's actually taking that into account. And then when we want to understand the sentiment, we just click down here and we've got all the different people replying to it, all the nested fills, etc. Right? And this is all produced in the report. So not just the link, super cool. Look at this one. Set a completion condition and Claude keeps working until it's met. This is /goal, right?
Yeah.
And then it's got this guy saying goal is great or whatever, right? Oh, sorry. I just clicked on it. Oh, there you go. It works. There you go. It works. I'm sorry. Didn't realize the links were in the hyperlinks, right? And it gives you create. But look where it gets really interesting is remember, these have sentiment, right? So let's find an interesting one here. Look what it says up here, complaint dominant, right?
Oof, yeah.
Claude Agent SDK, programmatic interface for building agents, June 15 subscription policy. And it says, developers, including Theo, 156K engagement podcast. This is Theo 3. And so this has come up because it's understood there's this tweet, right? Which, by the way, is a nested tweet. So it worked out the main tweet that this was linked to wasn't important because that's not where the engagement was, right? So it focused on this specific tweet.
That's awesome.
It read it, it understood, it then read all of the comments for it, right? It then checked it against other people that are live streaming, and Anthropic just quietly nerfed everybody, and the transcript in the podcast that we reviewed. Right? So it then had all of this synthesis, and you see here, top negative replies, right?
Yeah. Real quick, can you pause right here? I just want to see, because it says the top reply underneath that Claude Devs post tweet. We've heard your questions about SDK and Claude -P usage, sharing your subscription rate limits within.
Yeah. So this was the tweet. This was a false positive because this is the tweet that this was a post. This was the actual tweet above this by Claude Devs.
Wow.
Yeah. So let me remind you guys what I'm talking about. Let me show you in real time. So this is the tweet, right?
Yeah. Show us boomers how Twitter works.
Yeah. So this was the tweet.
Yeah.
This was the tweet, right? Claude Code weekly limits are increasing 50%. That was the tweet. But in the reply to that tweet, as you see from this line, was this little gem, right? And it was able to understand that this tweet was not important despite its engagement, right? Because the sentiment on this, right? The ratio, right?
Yeah.
So it understood that this was the issue, and it understood this was the issue, right? So it was then able to pick up on this, and then who was the other person it referenced? Theo 3G here, yeah? So it was able to work out, when was that? The 13th. He posts a lot, goodness. Yeah. To prevent programmatic use, Claude Code may now request webcam access to assure user is present when prompting. So more drama, right? So anyway,
my God.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's gonna be an interesting one. I don't know if that's like a meme or if he's actually being serious. I sense a community note coming. I don't know, man. That's wild. 6.3K likes. So that was today, 19 hours ago. Anyway, you can see that this topic was picked up by our report on the 13th, right? And already it's exactly doing what it predicted, right? It's going viral. And look, here's other posters, right? You know, and
is that a screen? Is that so that number is representative of what it was?
What it was
when it was taken. So
as of this published date, yeah.
So can we look at it now and see like, hey, how, you know, it had a 17 hearts there. How's it doing?
Yeah, I mean, that was a small user. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. Okay.
But 3,709 views. Oh. But what was that in response to? This is oh right. So this is right at the bottom of a. Okay, so it's 263. And this, but it's impressions 9.8K. Yeah, it's not much. It's like a small thing, right? So it picked a random reposter of it, right? The reason that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder why it did that. Actually, I don't know if I can explain that. That's interesting. Yeah, no, good spot. That's interesting. We should understand why it picks that.
Yeah,
I think it was probably. I think it was probably in the AI process that was reading through the scrapings, and like Sonnet made the decision to include it. That's what I suspect.
Well, and I see it says top X reactor, and so that gentleman did react like 7 or 8 times. He replied to.
Yeah. Oh no, that's for sure.
Like one of the top reactors. I was wondering though, if let's say I was looking at this report and the report had been run 7 days previous, if then I click on, let's say, something that was trending, or we would predict to do well, if can check, kind of do like a point in time check later in the future of just, hey, okay, it had 1300 whenever.
Yeah.
Now it's at 1940 or
yeah. So that would be like the evolution. Because that's when you actually start tracking real trending, and then you modify your algorithm based on the output, and you slowly fine tune it, right?
Yeah.
This is our first go at it, right?
Yeah,
I think it's amazing. Yeah.
So it really is.
Yeah, it also links it to other hacker news, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use Claude Agent SDK with your Claude pan, right? Anthropic official support doc establishing the new credit allocation rules for SDK. Claude subscriptions no longer including independent news confirmation, right? I wonder what that is. Let me see. Okay, so it's just some random news article, right? So somehow it's found, I don't know, man. So like it blows my mind. Like I don't even know how it's done some of this. So that's really cool, right? So that's a good example of the thing. This is the GPT mobile, and this is really negative, right? So it's basically saying early adopters confirm computer use and tail-scale based multi-device control work on day one, but login auth failures and missing automations access are the dominant friction. And it talks about posts being, their changelog being ratioed despite its reach, right? So it's quite cool. So it's saying you could create some content on comparing like Codex mobile computer against OpenClaw or something like that, right? Codex mobile app can now manage all my devices. Incredible. OpenAI win. Nice positive reply, right? And then it's got like some verbatims, right? All of these are pretty engaged. So that's cool. And then and so this is what this section does, right? And again, agent view. This is negative. This is Jing Liang basically saying, why bother with that when you can just use Pi, right? Or Codex, right? Because they basically already have the feature. That's kind of cool. Let's see where that one went. Want to ditch Claude. It's basically her just ripping on Claude, right? Jing Liang. Let's see. Okay. Founder at Orca Build. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So this is what this this part does, right? And then it's got like this is interesting. So this is, I've also got this like whitelist system, right? And it basically says there are some creators that I like and we can add to this list as we go, right? Like Andre Karpathy, for example, right? And it says these things had high engagement posts from whitelisted creators, but they didn't trend in the same way, right? So this was Karpathy's post about using HTMLs unironically, right? So it's saying, hey, listen, this post got 49.3K on X and it's basically saying, listen, I know these didn't come up in your normal report, but it's definitely worth checking these out because these are the contenders for that. This is not viral yet.
Yeah, might be some signals in there that
so,
are.
Yeah, no, totally. The Karpathy one, absolutely. Totally. So this is like when Karpathy first posted about creating a wiki, right? That's not what this is. This is about HTML. But what I'm saying is when he first posted that would have come up here. It had major engagement on X, but it hadn't gone out yet. A week later, what do you see? Look at my memory system. Look at my wiki. Look at my Graphify on all the reels, right? So then it would have made it up here, right? So
do you even graph, bro? Do you even graph?
Do you even know ontological models, bro?
Yeah.
Do you even know logical modeling, bro? Do you know lineage, bro? So this is what this section's all about, which is super cool. I love this section. I think it's one of the most useful sections in the actual thing.
Yes, and then for anyone watching, I don't know what those things are that Kem just dropped in there, but So for any of you that were like, what in the F did this guy just say? It's okay. I done a little modeling, but I also thought that. So anyways, continue, Kem. Just wanted to ground us as, yeah.
Now Vogue. Is this ontological modeling? Is this what we're doing? I like a little bit of old school 80s Madonna, not showing my age. All right, cool. So then we got yeah. I'll never get used to you with that soundboard, dude. So then we've also got a couple of other tiers. I'm not sure they're very useful, but they're just kind of, I didn't want to miss anything out. So I thought, oh, maybe this could be interesting, but yeah, we didn't do that. The next thing here, now we haven't basically optimized these, but the idea is here we're going to have areas. Oh, let's go GitHub. So this is interesting. So this is like, like this GitHub repo is trending, bruh.
Why use many token when few token do trick?
Yeah, this is Caveman. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a good one. It picked a good one. And then it has Mem Palace, which was created by that actress. She vibe codes, bruh. What's her name?
Sabrina?
No, dude. What actress? Is that movie with that actress that turns into a robot after eating loads of crazy drugs? Lucy. Yeah. And what's the actress's name? Scarlett Johansson. No, it wasn't her. No, it was the Fifth Element girl. That's a great movie, by the way. It was this actress. Oh. Mila Jokovic, the Fifth Element. So she created, I think, in fact, who created Mem Palace repo? Yeah, Mila Jokovic. It's the Fifth Element chick. So she created this. This is like a way of dealing with memory in AI, persistent memory. I've got lots of mixed feelings about it, but it was viral. That's the point. And then it's got some other GitHub stuff. There's a couple of cool things in here. So this hasn't been refined yet, but this is what this section's about. And again, you can move it. Security hasn't been piped in yet, but it's going to be like the big hacks, the big security issues. Trending tools is, I'm not sure about it at the moment. I've got some ideas around it, so we're just refining these sections. Industry news is going to be all of the stuff to do with, this is the wrong feed at the moment, but what it will be is things like, it's going to be linked a lot to the podcast transcripts. So it's going to be taking I know you know this, Chase, right? But I'm explaining it to everyone else, right? So I feel like I'm talking to you and it's like, yeah. So this is like the stuff that's like Elon Musk lawsuit, compute in space, Gemini, Anthropic. It's all that typical enterprise-wide industry news, right? That's helpful and good to know if you're like creating a podcast and you want to have like a little section on like the news, like we do. That's kind of what that's really for. So that's pretty neat. And again, the data's already been harvested. This is just the part where we're deterministically giving it the rules for what to pull from the data, right? And applying our own models for synthesis. And each section kind of has its own little energy and purpose and different kind of functionality. But yeah, so that's where we are. We've got till the 27th. We're going to finish off some of these sections that are relevant. And yeah, these are light at the moment. They're bare because I haven't pulled in the data yet. But that's basically what it's going to be. And the idea is that you run this report, you click one button, click, and it just goes off and does all the work, and it has all the scrapers and it does all the interesting stuff. And then it produces this report. And then over time, you can start tracking actual trends, right? And start getting better model configurations, and then maybe even take it into like machine learning algorithms, right? Where it starts to improve and understand, where you start looking at the articles that were passed and you check them off and say, yep, that one did go viral, that one did go viral, that one didn't go viral, right? And over time, it learns, it gets better and better and better and better. And eventually you've got this like thing. Now you could apply the same synthesis for like thumbnails on YouTube, or like, you know, like there's all these different things you can do when you understand the design patterns of predicting some level of virality across heterogeneity. I think that's the word. Is that the right word?
It was, yeah, heterogeneous.
Yeah. So across multiple places and correlating the systems. So yeah, that's where we've got to with our hackathon entry, and I'm super pumped. I think it's super cool.
Sweet, dude. I'm so stoked on this one.
Yeah, I think we did really well, man. I think we did really well with this one. Like, I think, and to do it in such a short time, you know, this is one of those AI did a lot of heavy lifting in this one, like a huge amount of heavy lifting. And I'd love, if anyone's interested how I approached it and how I got it working, because a lot of it was done autonomously. Unlike when I'm building in something like Glitch, where I have to be very kind of aware of what's going on and orchestrating. This was a more hacky, right? It was more like, we've got this problem, let's just keep hammering at it until something works. And then, oh, I think we got something. Okay, now let's stop and fine tune this and just, we're nearly there. Click, okay, lock that in, next, you know?
Yeah.
I think we went through, I think we're at 428 ISCs at the moment on this one.
That's all? Wow.
Yeah. It's
didn't even hit 1,000 this time.
Yeah. It's actually pretty light. But, you know, the challenge was all here. This is where the challenge is. Now it's just time and delivery, right? But yeah, I'm super pumped about it, man. It's been such a fun project. And
sorry, I was just going to say, and this is going to be really fun to implement too once we are full blast running the community. We have our skills that we're building on top of, and we want to start posting across different platforms.
Yeah. Can your research report for your content creation do this, bruh? Bang.
Yeah.
You know, start showing some of this.
We also have to look into all of these, because I was, I had a little bit of mixed feelings, and this is the reason I wanted to pause to really think about them for a second, because on one side, posting all the trending stuff is great for distribution, for blowing up, but got to be a little careful, because we know how it is in this space, that even though things are trending, that does not mean that they are true. And so gotta stay true to ourselves with that truth finder North Star here.
Unfortunately, yeah, if you're looking for a feed that basically just talks about new features and Claude Code change the game, then this is probably not the place for you, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to do a bit of that, but or do that yourself and understand the real tools in the back end that help you get there, then this is the place you want to come to, right? You don't want to be the recipient of the content. If you want to be the content creator, then this would be a good place to learn some really neat tricks. Yeah.
Some really neat tricks. Yeah.
Yeah. And if we want to go into like big data and data science and how to set up systems, you don't need to learn it, right? Come and join us. We'll give you the tools, right? That's the idea, right? I think this stuff should be available to everybody, and it shouldn't cost you the stupid, obnoxious amount of money that people try and pay. Like, this should be accessible for everybody, right? No gatekeeping, right? Truth seekers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That is the North Star. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That is Nirvana.
So, and speaking on the community and what we'll be offering and kind of how that's going to affect our streams, one of the things I'm really excited about is to have people submit what they're working on, either their platforms or their websites, and be able to review them live. And
that would be
share what other people are working on, because it's part of it's the reviewing, seeing, poking around, but there's so many people out there that are working on really cool things in the wee hours of the night, and they don't have time to distribute it, to show people it. So
and like, it's good to show us like broken stuff. Like, we want broken stuff. There's so many times where I meet someone and they'll just have such a kick-ass idea, but maybe like not the technical ability, and it's like, let's help you bridge that, right? Like if you're an idea person or you're the technical person, let's hook everyone together and just make the dream come true.
Yeah.
Open source the planet, like let's just like, that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I think it's Sunday. I think we got through a good amount. We don't really have set times for these streams yet, but we go on as long as needed. What we could have done is I could have continued building out the the next group of changes for like our codexy stuff and project stuff. It's a bit boring. It's a lot of programmatic checks. It's a lot of kind of back end stuff. So I thought maybe that wouldn't be the greatest thing. You're just going to see me in a terminal, window like this one here, just kind of looking at like this kind of stuff. I don't know how exciting that is for a stream, but we can definitely set up some like feature stuff coming in soon and maybe do some more live coding. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. What do you think for next time?
Yeah, I think that sounds good, man. I'm really excited to start playing with it myself now that the MVP, now that we're cooking. We got to get all set up in GitHub and
yeah, we want everyone to be able to just pull it, hit an install, go, and get rocking and start saying like, "Hey, dude, I built this thing in Glitch," and I'd be like, "Yes, let's inherit that." And just like make this thing's gonna fly, man. Start giving people access. People can fork. People can play around. People that have never used GitHub before can learn. And start getting involved. Start coding. Start vibe coding. Making a mess. Letting us help them clean it up. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be dope. Just teaching people the whole process, like how to go about these things, how to do it in a structured way, how to set up quality gates so that things don't break. How to automate all that stuff, how to get more into agentic workflows. If they want to create brains and memory systems, or how they can customize and glitch their ride, and
glitch my ride. Oh my god, I gotta write this down. This is going places.
yeah. So that would be cool.
We're gonna need a bongo cat that's got like a pimped out ride now.
Yeah. We need like a Snoop cat.
Ooh. Okay, so bongo cat, the way he's flat, he could go right on the top of one of those Cadillacs, the topless Cadillacs.
Lowriders.
Yeah, and then literally have glitch cat.
Yeah.
Bobbing on one of those, one of those caddies.
Keep it gangster, y'all. Keep it gangster.
Dude,
yeah, why not?
It's a good visual. What are you most excited about for the community?
Dude, I'm just excited for engagement. Like I love teaching, I love answering questions. Think about when I hosted the masterclass for the why Claude isn't using your skills and how to do manual invocation and runtime stuff. And I did that masterclass, and that was like a 45-minute masterclass to the community. And then it was 2.5 hours of Q&A. Just people so engaged, wanting to talk, ask questions, and like really get into like the nitty gritty and like answering everything from super basic, like, are you super base? Is that okay? To like, what's AI? How does an LLM work? All the way through to like really technical questions and implementations, and like, how does this work when you link it this way? And I'm setting it up as capabilities, not skills, and like, all of that stuff, harness questions. So I love like all of that part. I love the actual education piece. I can't wait to, I love it. Like I always want that feedback. A lot of communities that I go in, unfortunately, get overrun by AI responses. Yeah. So I want it to be really organic and human, and bring the human element, and have people can ask things, and I'll I'm on the way traveling, and I'll record a video response and just post it, and like, help people really find their way, give them the tools I'm using. I love sharing my tools because I like people using them. That always like gets me pumped. So I love sharing stuff. I love giving people loads of free hacks, hacks in the good sense, you know, ways to like, you know, really upgrade. I love blowing people's minds with tools I've created. I get a lot of pleasure in that. Like, you know, and I love learning. I love it when other people come in and say, hey, have you seen this? And that all comes from that same thing, right? From engagement. So I just want to get like, that's what I'm looking forward to, just getting more people involved. Obviously, we're just starting out, you know, at the moment, we're kind of like talking to a void. But like, I hope that one day that won't be the case anymore. And we could really, start building and curating this community for hackers, newbies, hustlers, researchers, engineers, you know, marketers. Just like this ubiquitous community of people that just want to leverage this stuff and get real return on what they're learning, you know.
So they want to build that personal AI assistant.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, I say, to give them the tools, just like, you know,
because the harness.
I'm as happy to teach you about creating an algorithm like this as I am to just give it to you, right? That's the point, right? People have different needs and wants, right? If you're working a 9 to 5 or you run a business or something, you haven't got time to learn that stuff. You might be interested in it as a hobby, but you just want to click a button and for it to work, you know? That's it.
Dude, and sometimes we forget that we are in such a bubble. I was catching up with a friend yesterday on the phone. We hadn't talked in, and I want to say, as embarrassing as this is, a year and a half or 2 years even. And once upon a time, we were in this group of commercial real estate investors, and we were meeting every single morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, 5 days a week. So 4:30 a.m. my time, right? Did this for like a year. So whenever you do that with someone, even if you take a couple of years off of being, you know, getting in touch, it's like you spent so much time with them in such like an unenjoyable hour. It's like, bro, we're always connected with this. We struggled together, right? So him and I were catching up for the first time in a couple of years, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you working on? I'm telling him about the AI stuff, telling him about the harnesses, about, you know, some enterprise work. And he asked me, he's like, well, what models do you like to use? And I kind of had to like, it was a reminder that most people are still on like, are you using Anthropic? Like, are you using Claude or are you using ChatGPT? Like most people are still, you know,
we're talking about algorithms and harnesses.
People are still digesting like, hey, what provider do I want to go with? Who do I trust? Which model?
What plan? How much is it going to cost? What is AI? How does it work?
And even saying model is not necessarily like, most of them really do think like just, oh, it's Claude, Anthropic, one ubiquitous or one, you know, entity. Then you got ChatGPT, OpenAI. Okay, that's just one thing over there, and it just is at the provider level. And so
share my screen. We've all seen this. We've all seen this 100 times before, but I want to show it to you.
But it made me realize that there is so much to teach people.
Yeah, you've definitely seen this, right? So each dot is 3.2 million people. 2,500 dots, 8.1 billion people. Color equals most advanced AI interaction. So never used AI, 6.8 billion people. The grays. Free chatbot user, free. Doesn't even have a paid plan. Almost everybody else.
You know, I'd love to see one that has a breakdown of like the US, you know, maybe some of the major countries where
US will be really low compared to like UK, I reckon. US adoption of AI versus UK. The US leads 43% of US workers using generative AI for tasks, compared to 36% in the UK. That's interesting. That's the Federal Bank of St. Louis. Now, I don't trust that. I think that's wrong.
I don't trust that.
No, I don't. That's
not from a bank, and you know that world, and you're like,
No, that's not real. It's
red
like
flag.
It's like a rubbish poll.
Totally.
Versus something like this.
Well, and I only joke because you come from the investment banking world, and so of course you're like, Federal Reserve.
this is better, and this is much better.
Yeah.
But it says the same thing, so fair enough. United States share using generative AI has the same stats. They probably took it from this report.
You know why though? I would bet you dimes to donuts. It's because the laws over there in Europe, the GDPR, are considerably more strict and restrictive. So it takes a lot longer to adopt AI for people to use it in work versus the US is a lot more.
I don't think that's the reason. You're right.
Really?
You're right.
You don't think that could be a part of the underlying reason? Just less adoption due to
maybe there's definitely more challenges.
Blockers.
Maybe at the enterprise level, you're probably right. There's quite a lot of challenges with GDPR.
Yeah.
Because like ring fencing data, not feeding the model local, you need like AWS and like, Microsoft type solutions, right?
And DPA. You guys also have the DPA, right? Data Privacy Act.
Yeah. We have the ICO and like all sorts of other things. But yeah, I think adoption is more general. The upper panel shows. Let's have a look. Let's get some.
Yeah. Maybe the report will have some suggestions or.
See, this is interesting. Firms, not people, right? That's the interesting point. Firms using AI and GDP per capita, right? Per capita. Sweden is crazy. Netherlands, Sweden, wow. I mean, France and European Union is here. I wonder where UK is. I reckon we're somewhere up here. 37%. We're like up here somewhere. The UK. Yeah. Let's have a look. Oh, United Kingdom here. This is firms using AI for any business purpose. European Union is high. Sweden, Netherlands, no, it's reflective. So red is here. We're actually really low.
Well, it's 23. So
in the UK, yeah, here, United Kingdom managed. So this is AI adoption in enterprise. Stronger productivity growth. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is not general user. This is business related, but it's still interesting. I wonder what adoption. What is the best survey for AI adoption?
Well, I know that's what the what is he? He's the global head of IT, I think. Gentleman at this enterprise that I'm working with, right? And he was saying that the private equity companies are just throwing money at AI right now.
Well, they have been for a while. I mean, that's a definite bubble.
Like aggressively, right? Like right now, they're even more ramping up, which I'm sure they're going down one of two paths. A lot of companies are.
It's such a bubble, dude. It's just like, it reminds me of the .com. Like there are companies that obviously have had huge investment that are like frontier models, like OpenAI, Anthropic. Like they're going to be the Googles and the Facebooks, right, of the bubble, right? They're the ones that make it, right? But there are so many, Cursor, interesting one, Cursor, or there's a few others, right? Even like NA10, it's like they might not survive, because I could easily see AI going to a point where you don't, it's not even attractive to you. I mean, you don't need an A10 now, but I could definitely see it becoming like, those are the companies that probably had quite huge investment, and like, they won't last, and it's like, you look at, there's a lot of examples of that because of just how fast everything's moving. All these agency things, like, everyone wanted agents, and then coding agents came out, right? And it's like, then what happened to agent control?
Well, and that's why I really think if for those people that are getting in this space or in this space that want to launch a product or a platform or anything, it is all speed to market. It is truly all about how fast can you go from ideation to launching something to onboarding customers to it.
Even like ideation to MVP.
Yeah.
And then release and just get customer feedback.
Yep.
and
try and exit probably.
And remember, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter how good your product is or your service is. It's all about distribution.
Yeah,
there's so many things to say on that, isn't there? But if you want to talk about that, yeah, if you're interested in that, comment below. We'll talk about it more. Yeah, if you're more interested in like the business side of this, because we are practitioners, right? We are people that have done this for a living. So like, yeah, if you want to know more about that, you can talk to us about that stuff. If you want to know about more hustler stuff, but like the truth, like what's actually selling, you can definitely ask us about that.
Yeah, we'll tell you what's working, what's not, what was a good experience, and what really sucked. Had a couple of those.
And what's working now, for real.
And where it's going, man. That's one of the things I took away from the conversation yesterday with my buddy. The whole Claude -P thing, and he was asking, what models are you using?
You talking about Christian?
No, it was a different friend. The one, he's over, I think he's in Ohio. He was the one I hadn't talked to in a year and a half, 2 years or so. They do reselling of like flooring materials and stuff, so they can get better deals actually than some of the large distributors. So we have like Home Depot, Lowe's, these big hardware companies, right? And so he was trying to pick my brain as to, hey, what kind of ways could he use AI that were innovative, that were thinking outside of the box, forward thinking. And whenever he asked me the question of, hey, what AI do you use? What model? I was walking Dakota and I almost wanted to throw my hands up in the air because I was still thinking about the Claude -P and still hurt over that I was like, bro, I don't know. Like, I've used Claude. That's been my main harness, but it kind of broke my heart. So like, gonna use OpenAI, but then started talking about, the importance of not being model dependent.
Being model agnostic.
Yeah. And but it was a funny thing because I'm sure on the other side he thought I sounded like a crazy person, like, oh, well, aren't they all kind of close to the same? But it really kind of resonated with me, like, oh, what am I using? I don't know. It changes sometimes by month.
Yeah, sometimes by week, sometimes by a single post. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, isn't it? What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Yeah, no, it's cool. I vibe with it. What is this white shit?
I don't know, but you just smacking your mic. You're like,
ooh, yeah, sorry, my bad. Sorry for the recording.
Sorry, ears.
Yeah, sorry guys, sorry about that. I've got this white, like, I don't know, it's probably kind of like from my beard or something. I'm such an animal. I'm an animal. I'm actually an animal. Oh well.
Yeah, I know what you
mean. Need caveman. Me need caveman.
Hair's getting long. I'm like, I'm gonna need to go see the barber soon, so I can come back to the cave.
Yeah.
So I don't have to leave again.
It doesn't matter what I do to my hair. Like, I can shave it off, and I'd still have like one hair like sticking out like that. Yeah, exactly. All right, brother. Well, I mean, I hope you have a rest of your happy Sunday day, because it's actually a day for you. It's my evening now. And I'm excited about the week ahead, and it's gonna be great.
You too, my friend. I guess I should play our tune. Is it time?
We should. I think we should.
All right.